It's been a swampy week of revelations about Michael Cohen's consulting deals with companies like AT&T. Now, that's one of the things I asked Trevor Noah about when I sat down with him on the set of The Daily Show. He made a joke about how Cohen was running swamp tours. Noah and I had a wide-ranging conversation about Trump and comedy, and also about what Noah still wants to know. Trevor, thanks for sitting down with me.
Thank you again, Brian. Good to see you.
Is this starting to feel like home for you now that it's been a few years?
I think it's felt like home for a while now, and I think home has been less defined by the space and more the people. I think were it not for the Trump presidency, it may have taken me a lot longer to feel like this was home.
And in the first few months of the Trump presidency, I know your writers and you all were scrambling to redo the show at the last minute. Is that still happening 16 months in?
Yes, but we don't scramble anymore. Now we expect it.
Now you plan for it.
Right, so now we plan for the unplannable. We wait for the moment when Wolf Blitzer goes, breaking news! We're waiting for that moment because it happens almost every single day. It's the 5:30 curse, we call it.
The 5:30 curse.
Yeah, it's the 5:30 curse. Around 5:30 every single day, that's when the news will break.
The news about Michael Cohen getting payments from companies, it did break between 5 and 6 p.m. this week. You said Cohen's literally selling swamp tours.
Right.
Did it surprise you?
No, it didn't. I said from the very beginning that Donald Trump reminds me of an African dictator. And if you know anything about African dictators, the first thing you have to do is follow the money. And you follow the money with the people closest to them. Family members, business associates, all you do is watch for the money. And I would have been disappointed had we not found out, or had Michael Cohen not done this. I'm like, yeah, this is following the script. This is what you were meant to be doing as the person who rolls with Donald Trump. You were always going to be finding a way to swindle cash. And now the question really that remains is, did Trump know? And did these companies really not get anything? Because I feel like that's a quick way for the story to just disappear. Yeah, we paid and we didn't get anything. Let's move along, let's move on.
When you say follow the money, you sound just like a journalist. It sounds like you bring that idea to this.
Well, I think you, as a person who processes information in the world, good journalists help you think of how to process a story. I think as a critical thinker, you should be able to do these things beyond journalism. You know, I think we should be trying to build a population of people that are looking at information, that are reading into information, people who are asking questions that go beyond what they're just told.
And where do you see your show fitting into that?
Well, it's always evolved. You know, when I started The Daily Show, I thought our purpose was just to make jokes about what was happening, because that's what the world felt like. It was a benign existence under Barack Obama. I think as the world comes to change, our purpose in that world changes. And I think that happens not just because of The Daily Show, but because of how comedy changes in society, depending on what is happening to that society. So when society is experiencing a boon, or if it is a wonderful time for people to be alive and there's not much strife, I generally find the comedy will be benign, and it will be, you know, observational and you know, really light in its touch. As things become scarier, as the world becomes less secure, as people question the security that they exist within, that's when comedy becomes more cutting, because in many ways it's the release valve to that fear or to that tension.
You have some of the same challenges that I have. There might be a dozen stories in a day about Trump or about politics. How do you go about deciding which are worthy of talking about?
Well, I break it down into categories. I go, what's newsworthy? What is interesting? What is entertaining? And what is original? Because I'm going to be on The Daily Show every single day of the week, 4 nights a week. It's nice to vary my material. It's nice to switch things up. I don't want my audience to tune in every day and feel like they're hearing the exact same story. And so, you know, as much as I can do, I don't talk about Trump. You know, he makes it extremely difficult, as you know, because he, and I've heard from many people that he purposefully wants to be in the news. So it's difficult to avoid that when the person is the president of the United States.
I think we've had this debate privately. Maybe we should have it publicly. You think Trump will be reelected if he decides to run, right? You think he's going to be with us for a long time?
I think people underestimate how laser-focused Trump and his supporters are. I think people also underestimate how many people in America are willing to accept the adverse effects of Donald Trump as they pertain to the general discourse in America versus the economy and how people actually feel in their daily lives. So it goes back to, you know, what Joe Biden was talking about, where he was saying affected versus offended. And that's what's happened with a lot of Americans. There are many people who go, I'm offended by Donald Trump, but I'm not actually affected by him. I think too many people take for granted the ability Democrats have to step in their own way and trip themselves at the finish line. I don't take any of that for granted.
All right, really hard last question. Do you have a favorite joke about the president?
I think my favorite joke that encapsulates how I observe and process the Donald Trump presidency is this. I say, I wake up most days terrified at the notion that Donald Trump is the most powerful president in the world. I also wake up most days acknowledging that he's also going to make me laugh. And that's what's difficult for me, is that he's an emotional paradox. And I've come to realize it's like this. I think it's almost like there's an asteroid headed towards the Earth, but it's shaped like a penis. I think I'm going to die, but I know I'm going to laugh.
You're going to die laughing?
Could be both.
If you want to hear more from Noah, we're sharing the entire interview on our podcast. So you can look it up through Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or TuneIn.